Okay, sitting here in a Mercy parking lot. Diana's having a test today, and I can't go in with her. So I have to sit out here and wait for her. So I figured, hey, what the heck? I'm going to make a video. Okay, what I'm about to talk to you about, if you're not a serious rifle shooter, turn the video off. Don't pay attention to it. It doesn't mean anything to you. Okay? Talking about scopes. Now, you see people go out and they see these fancy looking scopes, and even some of the expensive ones, cheap ones and expensive ones, and they'll have turrets on them. Now, what a turret is so that I can adjust my scope to hit at different ranges and under different conditions without having to use holdover. Guessing at it, I should be able to dial in this particular range. So let's start off with the testing. Okay, if I go out at a range and I want to shoot this off a bench, I want to shoot this with a solid hole on the rifle. Okay, so I shoot 3 rounds to fall into my point of aim, into the bullseye. Okay, so I shoot those 3 rounds and they fall in the bullseye. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to turn my turret so that those bullets go 4 inches to the right. Okay, so now it's 4 inches to the right. And I'm going to fire 3 rounds. I'm going to verify that those 3 rounds did move 4 inches to the right. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it up 4 inches. So I'm going to fire 3 rounds, and I should be right 4 inches and up 4 inches from my original shoot. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move 8 inches to the left. Okay? I'm going to fire my 3 rounds. I should now be 4 inches above my original sight and 4 inches left of my original sight. And then I'm going to come in and I'm going to go 8 inches down. I'm going to fire those 3 rounds. I should be 4 inches low left, okay, of my original sight, which is the bullseye. So then I'm going to go 8 inches to the right. I'm going to fire those 3 rounds. I should be 4 inches low and 4 inches right. Okay. Now I'm going to bring it up 4 inches and left 4 inches, which should return me to my original 0. Now, what you're going to find out is a lot of scopes don't track. So I'm going to end up all over the place. And a scope that won't track reliably isn't worth having with all the turrets you're just going to end up fixing it at one point and leaving it. And then those turrets don't mean anything. They're not useful at all. Now, you learn that this scope will move reliably. Now, accurately and reliably are two different terms. If I spin it, 3 inches this way, and it only moves 2.5 inches. Okay, and once I return, if I do it again, it's repeatable, even though it's not accurate. You could learn that scope. That is a pain in the butt to learn that scope. Okay, and to decide that on the way you build a dope card, and there's another subject there is a dope card, is going to be completely different. Okay. Dope card. Well, a dope card is something that I'm going to make up that's going to tell me, it's going to be a piece of paper. It's going to tell me what my adjustments are for each of the ranges. So I have my turret, I have it zeroed. I've taken my turret cap off and I've put it back on so that the 0 line is there. Okay. And I've notated there's a vertical Werner scale drum. So this number and this number is my 0. This number and 0 is my 0. Okay. So I'm going to decide how many at different ranges. Okay. Well, let's say I'm only shooting 100 yards. Let's say the only range I have is 100 yards. Well, then I have to go to tables, and then we're becoming theoretical. Okay. So what I'm going to need here is a chronograph. And what I need to know is how fast that bullet is moving. What's the average speed? Let's say an average speed of 5 or average speed of 10 rounds. Okay. It's going to give me my average speed. It's going to give me my extreme spread. Okay. Then I can go to the tables, to the calculator. I can plug in the ballistic coefficient, which ballistic coefficient is a representation of how streamlined the bullet is, which correlates to how fast it loses velocity. And I can take my theoretical come-ups. Okay, so let's say my rifle is zeroed for 200 yards, and it's printing 2 inches high at 100. Let's take it just off the cuff. Okay, and I'm shooting 300 yards, and I know that bullet's going to be 4 inches low at 300 yards. I dial it up so that at my target for my 200 yard 0, the bullet's going to fall 4 inches high of that 200 yard 0. Okay, and so forth, going all the way up, as far as you want to go. So that's I put all this on my dope card. Now understand, until I actually prove it in the field, it's theoretical. Okay, it could be very close, it could be exactly right, but it is theoretical until I actually pull the trigger at that range. Okay. Now, needless to say, you want to do all this, you want to do this when there's not any real wind blowing, or you want to put a wind flag out there about halfway to your target, okay, and you only want to pull the trigger when the wind flag is laying flat. And some people say, well, you're only shooting 100 yards, the wind just doesn't really matter. The fact of the matter is, if you look at the tables, you see that a lot of bullets that you think are not moving at 100 yards are moving an inch. But 10-mile crosswind, okay? And then you're calculating that the wind's not the same all the way down. It may not be exactly perpendicular to the line of flight of the bullet. So, you put up a range flag, make it out of a piece of toilet tissue so it reacts well, and only pull the trigger when that flag is laying flat. When it's hanging straight down, there's no wind. Okay. So the other thing is that we're going to do here is we're going to check the vertical track. Okay. Now when I put a scope on here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the rifle up. I'm going to put a level on top of the base. Okay. And then when I put the scope on, okay, I'm not going to level off the turrets because they will not be cracked. But you'll see in the housing that it'll have a flat bottom on it, okay? So I'm going to level on that flat bottom, and I'm going to take shims, and I'm going to write them up on each other until they square that bottom. And then I'm going to look down the scope and verify that is working, okay? I might put a kilometer on it, okay? Make sure everything is lined up so the vertical line is absolutely perpendicular to the bore. That's key. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down and I'm going to take a target spot. I'm going to put a target spot on there. And then I'm going to take a level. Okay. And I'm going to draw an absolutely vertical line. Okay. And on that vertical line, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go cross marks. Where's my 200 yard 0? Or whatever my 0 is. Where's 300? Where's 400? Where's 500? Where should it fall? Okay. And I'm going to be looking at my table. So my table is going to be developed going from my 0, which I've used the velocity that I have determined with my chronograph, okay, and the ballistic coefficient. And a lot of these tables will have actually have that bullet you're using built into the table on that. And the one I use is a JBM Ballistics. It's an online calculator. So I'm going to come up. Where does that fall according to that line? Where does it fall according to the next line? And I'm coming up, I'm coming up, I'm coming up. And when it falls on those lines, on my dope card, I'm recording what that turret setting is. Each one. Either 100-yard increments or 50-yard increments. And typically what I'll do is I'll go in 100s out to 300 yards and then start going 50s because the bullet drop is really starting to increase. Now when you're actually shooting, or shooting targets, that's one thing. I'm trying to hit a little spot. Okay. It's a different thing than shooting living things. Okay. Basically, I have a kill zone on an animal, be it a deer or be it a woodchuck. A kill zone is a certain width and a certain height. Since I'm a man here, I'm going to tell you what it is on man. It would be the center chest here, okay, from the bottom of the rib cage to the base of the neck. So that's my kill zone, about a 10-inch square. Okay, anywhere in that 10-inch square, the bullet falls and it's a kill shot. Okay, on a deer, typically about 9 inches. You know, that's not including the neck and the head. Okay, and the forward part of the shoulders. Okay, so depends on the creature. On a woodchuck, it's typically 7 inches long and approximately 3.5 inches high. 3.5 to 4 inches high. So I only have to worry about getting the bullet in that bracket, you know. So, but anyway, let's say we're shooting targets, okay? So I'm coming up, and I'm understanding that this is, I did it on the computer, I did it by the tables, I used the ballistic coefficient of the bullet, the velocity that I measured. It is still theoretical to actually put bullets on target at that range. Verify it, absolutely, okay? Otherwise, it's theoretical. A lot of times when I do something in the theoretical, okay, it turns out to be very close to the actual. So if I put a theoretical 0 on a rifle at 700 yards, I would still fall within that kill zone on an animal. I may not be able to shoot a target, but I can shoot a kill zone. Okay. Well, that's what I got. Like I said, if everything I just said, if you're not a shooter, you're not a serious rifle shooter, it doesn't mean anything. But it also says that when you go out and buy these fancy scopes that have these turrets on them and you say, hey, I got that for $125. Maybe it tracks, maybe it doesn't. And if it doesn't track, those turrets don't do you any good at all. It's not reliable. Set it and forget it. You know, you'd be better off without those turrets on there. All right, that's what I got. And I'm still bored to death sitting here waiting. Okay. All right, bye-bye.